Well, hello students, here we are in week 5 already. Would you believe it? This particular week we're going to talk about chapters 6 and 7. Now that we've got through the first part of the book, now we're going to be talking about where do we go from the tools we've already learned from and fast forward into the current era in leadership. And that would be, how do we inspire as a leader from both a domestic and a national basis, and reaching out globally. Well, let's talk about this. Every leader has to connect to his or her followers. That is absolutely essential. So what we've learned from the dawn of modern leadership, which honestly, when you think back to modern management, scientific management, we go into the early part of the 19th century. So there's a differentiation, as we've already learned, between management and leadership. So the theories that currently dominate the leadership field are what we're going to talk about based on what we've already learned. And these include charismatic, transformational, and value-based approaches to leadership. And they're all going to focus on the connection between leaders and followers. And what's that synergy that connects them both? Charismatic leadership is going to be talked about here. And that's defined as an intense emotional relationship between leaders and followers, where leader, follower, and situational characteristics all are going to play key roles. Transformational leadership uses charisma as one of the elements, and it focuses on large-scale change. You want someone to come into a company, turn it around, and change it and transform it, all right? You need a transformational type of leader. And sometimes that means changing an existing culture that isn't working. So again, that involves the relationship between leaders and followers. We'll also look at the value-based approaches, including servant, authentic, and positive leadership. So in the objectives of this chapter in 6, which we're going to spend from Monday to I would say 3 days anyway, we're going to talk about the distinguishing elements of the new era in leadership research and practice. We're going to understand charismatic leadership, explain the leader-follower cultural and situational characteristics that contribute to its development, and we're going to discuss its positive and negative implications. We're also going to distinguish between transactional, transformational leadership and explain factors that contribute to transformational leadership, which I was just talking about. And then we're going to describe the value-based approaches to leadership, including servant, authentic, and positive leadership. So that's mainly what we're going to be doing from Monday to Wednesday. The next 4 days of the week, we're going to be talking about Chapter 7. We're going to do 2 chapters this week. And we're going to be talking about upper echelon leadership and nonprofit leadership. And why is this important? It focuses on the planning stages of leadership, leadership in the upper levels of the organization. So the models we're going to use, we're going to be concerned that we've already been using, rather, we're concerned with micro leadership, small groups, small departments. These are the planners of the organization and the strategic end. These are the people that pretty much plan out long term, and they come up with a long term strategy which supports the vision and mission of the organization. So the differences between the two levels are, the micro level and the upper echelon level is, again, we're looking at it strategically, and we're going to integrate culture and strategy. And what are some of the moderators that limit the impact on the leader on the organization? And what individual characteristics of strategic leadership impact the organization? So we're going to be looking at profit and then somewhat discussing nonprofit. Similar situation, but somewhat of a different way of approaching things. So the objectives of this chapter are going to be differentiating between micro and upper echelon leadership. We're going to be talking about the individual characteristics of strategic leaders and how they play a very important role in organizational culture. And we're going to look at those in the planning stages on the strategic end of the organization. And how do they impact the organization as a whole? And then we're going to analyze the unique challenges of leadership in nonprofit organizations. So this is what we're going to be doing over the next week. Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. And again, pay attention to reading, listening, and viewing. And again, your assignments are all going to be in your learning activities folder. As always, you can reach out to me if you need to do that. Have a great week.